A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the Fourth Estate. Happy Easter to all of you. I hope you enjoyed your Easter. We'll be discussing on the Fourth Estate tonight the state of our security in Kampala and in the region. And to discuss that with us, let me start from from this side. Let me start with Onapito Ekomloit, Corporate Affairs Director of Nile Breweries SAB Miller, and many people call him veteran journalist. And always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Happy Easter, Charles.
Thank you. Happy Easter to you.
Good.
Asmani Bisika. This man has done security reporting in Rwanda, in Uganda, and elsewhere. Asmani, very nice to have you.
Thanks. Happy Easter.
It's a long time since we last had this show.
Sure.
And Felix Kwaije.
The old man out.
The old man out.
In this lineup. In this
No.
lineup.
Who has had more interaction with the media than you?
Yeah, interaction that don't make me a journalist. Yes. Happy Easter to you, dear viewers.
Chief Political Commissar of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Very nice to have you.
Thank you, sir.
And Chris Obore needs no introduction.
The man.
Chris, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you. This man has been reading and reading. You have presidential ambitions or what?
You mean presidents are very well informed?
You're supposed to be just fighting. You should be in Sudan, but you're in your colleges all the time. What's the problem?
No, there's no problem. Actually, the problem is there. Africa is backward.
Let's start actually this discussion from the recent situation in Kenya, and we will wind up in Uganda, where people have been shot and killed, especially by men riding on motorcycles, commonly known as borders, the latest being the senior state prosecutor, Joan Kagezi. Let's start with the attack in Garissa, at the Moi University College in Garissa, where 148 students or people were killed, majority of them students. Where was the security lapse from a security perspective? I know you spent 1 year, he's talking about you in work activities, you spent 1 year in Kenya studying about some of these things. What is wrong with the security? How is Al-Shabaab so much able to penetrate and cause so much mayhem in these countries, especially Uganda and Kenya?
Whew, an uphill task. Thank you, Charles. First of all, my condolences to the family of Joan, and of course to our brothers and sisters in Kenya for what happened the other day. Quite a sad story. Where was security? Security is available. But it's important for us to note that a criminal called a terrorist has no face, has no boundaries, has no religion. You cannot situate him or her. So what am I saying therefore? That however watertight your security may be, a terrorist will be available. What you will succeed in doing is minimizing the chances of the terrorist to strike. So in most cases, the security presence in an area, physical presence, in addition to intelligence, is very crucial in minimizing the chances of a terrorist striking.
So was Garissa an intelligence failure or a security failure?
I think in my understanding of security analysis of today, nobody imagined universities being intelligence. I think, I'm just thinking, I'm not giving that as the reason. Although there were reports that indeed terrorists are likely to strike Kenya. And of course even Uganda. At the time, if you remember, there was an alert sent out that there is a terrorism threat in the region. And we normally have been going for these occasional gathering places where, you know, people will come once at people have gone at once and you expect them to attack either a church, a mosque, or a public function. But an education institution, it did not come.
The British Foreign Office in Kenya issued an alert with specifics and said areas around Garissa, 60 kilometers around Garissa, warned about areas close to the Somali border, warned about areas close to the Indian Ocean, and said there would be a problem.
Yes.
The president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, gave a speech and said, we are tired of these travel advisories. Kenya is as safe as any other place. The very next day, there is an attack. And there's another question which I'd like to put to you before I bring in the colleagues here, is the question of who was actually responsible for the death of so many people. It's a question we raised and discussed on this show when there was the Westgate attack at that shopping mall. That actually the security response, the response of the security forces, escalated the numbers of death than the terrorists were responsible for. So 2 questions, can you answer one by one?
First and foremost, it's true the president said so.
It's true he had been warned?
And I'm told there had been a warning in the name of travel advisory. Maybe the packaging of the warning influenced the response. You see, Charles, you can give me information, or you can insult me actually, and I will be annoyed or not annoyed depending on the words you have used. And you give the same words to Asuman. Same words, but package it differently, and the man will even smile back. So the packaging is very important. And where are we coming from? Was President Uhuru Kenyatta accepted by the West from the word go? Check the background.
He didn't need to be.
No.
The Kenyans decided.
Yes, they decided. But what was the response from the so-called friends? These things also influence how you interact with each other.
Okay.
This is my understanding. That how I have been behaving towards you will definitely influence how you receive my information. I'm sure in the social relations, you know that happens.
So was it
that if I have been aggressive to Chris, and all of a sudden, for example, I change and I come even talking nicely, do you think this man will receive me as genuine?
I don't know.
He won't.
Okay.
So the point I'm making, the advisors in my harm of you, genuine or well-intentioned as they may have been, maybe they solicited that response because of the background.
Okay.
We are tired.
Let me first bring Chris into this discussion. Chris, the discussion has been about 2 levels. The intelligence was available. Just like it was available in the case of Uganda, July 11th, 2010. Intelligence was available that an attack was imminent. In the case of Kenya, the intelligence was available. The reaction of the state security and intelligence seems to have been caught off guard again.
From the explanation Felix is giving, it actually indicts Uhuru Kenyatta of having led to the loss of these lives. Because if there was a warning and then you choose to take the tone and not the message, then it shows that he was not an intelligence person in the first place. And you know, he's a soldier. In military terms, no information is dismissed until you have verified it.
Correct.
So you don't just wake up and dismiss because these people have got a history against you. So that's the laxity by the Kenyan government. And I'm not sure if you made that iota of threat to Museveni would have reacted the way Kenyatta reacted. So I think Kenyatta was being a maturity here. This was the core of the state that they are telling you there's going to be trouble. What he would have done is perhaps to talk openly about it being useless while there is presence on the ground. What he chose to do is to say, these are lies, they have not wanted me. So there is a bit culpable. But generally, terrorism, I don't look at it from that incident alone. It is affecting the core of the mandate of a state. And this I shared with Kagezi when I was on KFM with him. The cardinal reason why we have modern states is to, one is protect citizens, their lives and their property. Terrorism is actually undermining that mandate of the state. And every state must be able to fight it, otherwise it loses power. And how have they come to gain ground? Because increasingly the political power is being undermined by corporate power. And we don't want to accept that. States have increasingly been removing their relevance. And the corporates are beginning to increase their relevance. And yet the corporates do not necessarily work to protect citizens and their lives. So unless the states reconstruct themselves and say we have a mandate, if we are to work with the corporate power, it must be in the interest of us, the political class. Instead, increasingly everywhere, and there are gaps coming. Okay. There are gaps creating in society, the dynamics are changing, the emotion is being created, and now when there is a bombing, you don't hear anybody crying to corporate power. They are crying to political and military power, which they are increasingly undermining, because what does countries say? We are affecting our tourism. Even in Uganda, they say those messages affect tourism. What is tourism compared with lives?
The chance.
What is it?
can you hold it a moment? Let me bring in Honor. He wants for a big
corporate power. Look, I don't even mind. I just want to answer very straight and Colonel. I think what we are seeing clearly, and Colonel has admitted, the limits of the state, and this erroneous assumption that the state can actually sort everything out. Every other time I keep on saying, the state does not feed you, the state does not house you, at least in Africa. But we often think that the state has this, omnipresent ability to make sure that it can protect you. I know the state is committed, the state has the apparatus, but over and over again, terrorists operate in situations that the state cannot be everywhere. And that's why my theory is that you need to increase the ability of the individual, of the institutions, to protect themselves in addition to state protection. Let's take Garissa, for example. If there was a system that allowed sane and law-abiding citizens to bear arms, the way the students were narrating, I was hiding, watching my colleagues being slaughtered, helpless. A well-trained person who is armed might have said, let me die fighting. But this obsession with saying that the state is the only one who can protect people and Obore is already attacking corporates, I believe, for example, that more institutions should by law be asked to have maximum security in their premises. In addition to the state, they should be the first line of defense. They should all be compelled to have closed-circuit cameras. So I believe the state has limits, and over again we are seeing the limits of the state.
Honor, do you know how many private security firms operate in this country?
Look, most of the most of the security firms, I mean, like most of the buildings in this city, these guys are not armed. They are not alert enough. It's only when you have police, you have the army in extreme situation like in the current circumstances. But on an ordinary day, the school askari is just having a stick. He has no modern weapon. He's not even trained enough to respond.
Entering any major building, including coming into this place here, people ask you, some of the security ask you, if you have viewers, please let us know. Because they think everybody has a gun, everybody's moving with a gun. But let me bring in Asman just before you come in. Is it a failure of the state? Because you cannot have a government that fails to account. In the case of Kenya, you have had those many attacks. Garissa specifically was in response to state-sponsored, what the Al-Shabaab believes is state-sponsored terrorism, in attacking Muslim clerics that have been assassinated, and they suspect the hand of the state in trying to eliminate what they think are wrong elements. Is this a wrong approach somewhere? What is the problem?
I think I would like to concur with Chris Obore, but to some extent, the involvement of the corporate power was a little bit offside. But the state, my interest in the state. What we have in Africa is a state that has limits, and those limits have not been mitigated one way or the other. Like in Uganda, the challenge we have is that of the structural organization of power. You talk of security, but these security apparatus are some kind of extension of the political power. So it's very difficult for, let us say, Garissa, that the technical people in intelligence would have been able to advise the president. The president was actually the one advising them. And when he set the tone that, look, Kenya is as safe as any country can be, then the security apparatus fell in. And it was now very difficult that the security apparatus would be able to act outside the feeling of their commander-in-chief. So it's very, very difficult. In Uganda, it's a problem of structural organization of power. All these intelligence briefs, they still feed into the political thinking of the leadership. They lack that technical detachment that would create an environment or information that would be advised on the politicians. So, you are warned, and the head of state comes first before you even write a brief about that
Courage has been itching to come in.
I wanted it, first of
that
all,
you're keeping up appearances in
yes.
security by showing up.
First of all,
the most security we see is the convoy of the president sweeping everybody off the road.
No,
in terms of effective.
No.
Yes.
Gentlemen, I request I guide you on this matter. A head of state, by virtue of his position, must assure his citizens or her citizens that the state is in charge.
But the head of state
Listen to me
must
first.
not lie to the citizen
Listen
that
to
the
me.
state is in charge.
Of course, he wasn't lying.
And that is why he has
wasn't.
picked
No,
the technical...
148 Kenyans are dead.
Listen to me.
Because the
Can
head
I-
of state said
Chris,
Kenya was a safe-
Charles.
Yes.
Charles. The fact is, lives were lost.
Yes.
It's not debatable. It's not debatable. You know, you are condemning President Kenyatta for what he said. And I'm telling you my understanding why he said it. You see, it would be defeating if anybody saw a president of a country on a screen of televisions with a worried face, dejected shoulders, saying, it's true, you know, these people are anywhere, please, citizens, be on the alert. That, the body language and the face and the voice would simply make a citizen say, where do we go next?
And they
Actually, I
that
saw
question.
president with that kind of image you are talking about. He died around 2 months later.
Exactly. So, you never, even you, in your own house, let's start from the nucleus, your own family. The day you come into your house with a downcast face
and say things are bad.
and say things are bad, first of all, your conjugal rights are gone. That's why they are not there. They are gone. Two, the children will have sleepless nights. They will not be sure they will have food the following day. So, what the head of state, the head of any community,
Commander-in-chief.
the commander-in-chief
Chef de l'État.
speaks matters.
But
Now, wait a
if
minute.
we move beyond what
Can
he
I
said.
can I complete with this
Sure.
one? What happens after what he has said, however, they are called accidents, incidents. What is the third one? Because an incident will occur despite what he has said.
Coincidence actually is the third.
Yes, coincidence is the third. It will happen when he has assured you. You don't condemn him, but you should assure us. No, he was speaking from his position as head of state. He's sure his security agencies are doing their work. It's another matter if actually they are not deceiving him. I don't know that you get what I'm talking
I'm
about.
listening to you. We
So,
are actually listening
yes,
to you.
it's important, therefore, that before you condemn His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, first understand the phenomenon terrorism.
But
Kulaije,
can I just correct something?
excuse me,
Can I
Charles.
just correct something that Kulaije is, because you're focusing on the words on my introduction, referring to the advisory, the travel advisory from
Yes.
the British government,
Yes.
and the response of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
What is clear is that for a second time, in a major way, Al-Shabaab terrorists have caught the Kenyan security agencies off guard. They did catch us off guard here in Uganda only in 2010.
Actually, the truth of the matter, in 2010, they didn't.
They did. They killed
I will tell you.
70. Actually, the
I've
actual
told
number
you-
of people who
I've-
died was
I've-
86.
I've-
here.
I've
The
told-
official figure is 76.
I told you that time. I knew we had received the threats.
Yes.
We had advised the persons concerned, and they ignored our advice.
As a citizen, what are you telling me?
Charles,
If interagency, you advise and someone doesn't take that advice, as a citizen whose life you say you're going to protect, or you're supposed to protect.
If the
in
intelligence is specific, if the intelligence is specific, I will close that facility.
and you didn't.
It
We haven't seen
it
any
was
of
not
that clause.
specific.
Yes.
you see, Charles, before we come to the specifics, let's first sort out the conceptual disharmony. When I talked about political versus corporate power, it is not from the blue.
No.
I can assure you, Charles, the idea to democratize a gun is a corporate idea. Because then the manufacturer of a gun has a bigger market. But the idea of the state is that to do those things that we as individuals cannot do. So there is 20% of us who constitute the state, and we all pay our allegiance to them. by paying our tax, and we equip them with the instruments of coercion, with the prisons, with the military. And they are supposed to coerce those among us who deviate from the common good. The gun is solely the monopoly of the state.
In these countries?
No, that's the
All over
concept
the
of
world.
the state.
The concept
The
of the
gun,
which is wrong.
Hold on, a gun is the monopoly of the state.
No.
Because then the state equally has instruments of coercion
But let me see for
and
the
the
people
discipline to do that. Once the state is being told by the corporate power that no, we are able to give every citizen a gun, you are going to anarchy, the pyramidal stage, where the strongest took the day, the law of the jungle, that he whose gun shoots better rules the jungle.
No, actually,
We came out of that.
what you are proposing
hold on,
is
now.
using the gun for suppression, not for protection.
Hold on, Honor. When we go back to the primordial, we are saying the state as it is today is relevant to us, which is false. We need to strengthen the state as it is today. Our problem, Charles, is we even talk about the state, yet we don't have nation states. We should actually be building nation states to help us subdue the gun. Those are the local dynamics now. So if you allow Mwangusha or Kuraije, Bisika, or Napito to have a gun, why should UPD be
But
there?
can I ask a question?
Why should the police be there?
Can I ask a
Why
question?
should Luzera prison be there?
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Ask your question.
And from very words you have used, Chris. First of all, Chris, I agree with you, with your analysis. And indeed, the Chicago school that
Napito is propagating.
produces the
Of economy.
Napitos of this world has even been proved wrong in economic terms. That the so-called invisible hand is no longer effective. Even in economic terms, leave alone maintenance of security. Now, the question I wanted to ask, when you look at the African nation states, are they actually nation states?
They are not.
They are not. The fragility of the African state emanates, one, from its origin, number one. Two, from the international system, which actually ensures that the African state remains weak. The international system ensures that the African state remains weak. Why? The corporate world gets the market they need. One, for their weapons, for their food, for their name it, whatever you use in war. It's not manufactured in Africa. It's elsewhere. So actually, the corporate world.
I thought we are manufacturing some things.
Just hold a moment. I thought we do some work in Luwero, and I was wondering what we're doing.
No, that-
and the other question I want to
So you will say, let me report the next question.
Yes.
We have numbers.
But I think I
Hold
need
it.
to correct
Honor,
the
we're taking a
impression
break.
my
Yes.
colleagues before you take the break. I was very categorical. I said I know the state. In fact, in my theory of privatizing the public service, I've never wanted the state and the coercive arm to be tampered with. But I'm just acknowledging that
The reality.
these incidents, the reality of terrorism, clearly dictates that before the state arrives, we need to increase the level of individual
My
ability
question is-
to protect
it's actually the
themselves,
thing I wanted to-
either
I'm
through
afraid Jonathan will
training
take
or
a
whatever
break.
you want, but you should
I
not.
agree with the idea, but not with the details you are giving.
Maybe throwing just one thing before you take the break. Ugandans especially have retreated. They don't go to the state for health care.
Yes.
They don't go to the state for education. They don't go to the state even for roads, because when Chris Obor is building his house, he extends the road to his place. And then Felix extends behind him. Even water and other services. Now, even security reaches that level.
That is state
No.
failure, Charles.
Yes.
But
Life
honesty
is
when
theory-
it's failure.
honesty theory assumes that if everybody must get a gun, what about the vulnerable? Who will buy for them the guns?
Okay. Let's
Who will
pick
buy
this
for
up.
them CCTV cameras?
Let's
the
pick this-
state must be
let's
present.
pick
Madam
this
People.
I have
discussion
not
as
said,
we
I
will
will disagree.
demonstrate.
The state must be present.
When we come back,
and
we'll
the individual
demonstrate this
must do
discussion
much more.
and discuss the Ugandan, the wave of insecurity in Uganda. After a short commercial break, we'll be right back. Welcome back this edition of The Fourth Estate, and we're discussing the wave of insecurity not just in Uganda but in the region. And we started with a discussion about the attack in Garissa, which was the subject of discussion almost at every church, and Kampala has been extremely deployed with security on high alert because similar threats have been made and intelligence has been following alerts that there could be an attack in Kampala. When you bring this discussion, I mean in Kampala or a major highway, that was the police statement. They said at either these avoid crowded places or on a major highway there might be a problem, and educational institutions have been talked about in the case of Uganda. The Ugandan situation,
But
actually...
I'm from church.
Eh?
I'm
Yes,
from
you went to church and you had someone checking you before you entered.
Yes.
Yes.
And by the way, sorry to cut it short, my wife observed for the first time there was repeated gratification to police, thanking police for maintaining security, thanking police for maintaining security. I said, this is not usual. The state again at it.
The state.
The state must be present, either directly or indirectly.
The state must be present either directly or indirectly. I
Yes.
agree with you.
I do
but
not,
if-
however, say the state should be in your bedroom, the state should be in your compound, but maybe when you go when you domesticate it, my concept of security, which as man has been scratching on the surface, is what we call the basic security or foundation security. And the foundation security starts with the citizen. And that's why I agreed with Onapito partly. His empowerment is talking about, for him, is arming. And that's promoting anarchy.
Not necessarily.
Let me put this question.
Yes.
You say the state must be present, and Ugandans know that the state has been present.
Yes.
Now, people
To a
killing...
limited extent.
Yes, people killing people. I mean, we have known that the state, once it is interested in you, to even go to the bedroom. And they will follow you there. What the state has been unable to provide is that when we move out of here, of the studio, that you can jump on a border, get into a taxi, or drive your car and reach home safely. Because someone could follow you and shoot you either at your gate or when you stop along the way. No, hold it a moment. Stop along the way. This is the reality we've been dealing with. And let me just put a little bit more context. A few years ago, we knew borders as having been infiltrated. Being a journalist, I know that, Chris knows that. Being infiltrated by intelligence operatives. Ideally to provide intelligence so that we can be better protected. Now we realize that protection was partly maybe to do political intelligence, not security intelligence that helps us. What do you make of this wave of, how do you explain, or how does, from a security perspective, how do you account for these murders of people armed, guns can't be traced, the killers can't be traced, and they're bumping off people, not just in Kampala but across the country?
And that's what you have actually answered, you are in my answer, and that's why you're asking the question.
answer.
Answer my kulukunyiza, as the Baganda put it. When you have, first of all, there must be a discernment between criminality and insecurity.
What's the difference?
Criminality is when you have isolated individuals committing crimes. Okay? Let me give an example. If there was, may God forbid.
Let me help you on this. Criminality is about an individual gaining, creating insecurity for an individual. Then security is undermining the state.
No, insecurity, not necessarily the state, even a community or a society.
Yes.
For example, you remember the time when a number of sheikhs were being killed? That became insecurity for the Muslim community.
Was it?
I mean,
Or
that's how it would be. That's how it would be seen.
Did you apply a narrow focus of analysis
No.
to those matters?
No, I'm trying to just give you how you would simplify the difference between criminality and insecurity.
So
If
that was insecurity.
a particular community is targeted, are you getting it? It doesn't matter who is targeting them. It becomes insecurity for that community. But if today...
Let me just give a couple more examples so that you can put them in context.
Okay.
What about the Butayimbwa killers? Was that insecurity or criminality?
Criminality.
What about the people who are burrowing through homes in Masaka and killing entire families? Was that insecurity or criminality?
Criminality still.
What about the people who are killing mobile money dealers, agents?
It's crime.
Eh?
It's crime.
When does it crime cross over to
Now,
insecurity?
this is what I'm going to. You're the one who was frustrating me. If these crimes become consistent, unabated, then insecurity has begun in the country. Then it ceases being isolated crimes. You must follow. And say,
pattern.
This pattern shows they are a particular group of people and they have a motive. For instance, somebody comes in your house, kills you, and takes nothing. Whereas this is a crime, the motive must be investigated. Because originally one would have said, yes, this was a robber, or a robbery gone wrong, as they normally say. But when your life is only taken and everything else is left intact, it's something else.
It becomes security.
It becomes a security problem.
And now, why let me make this point. Why I was saying that, undermining the state. Now that pattern creates a situation where the state is viewed or rendered inept.
So let's stretch.
So that's the situation.
Let's stretch our lens of analysis and make it a little.
So even
broader.
crime can degenerate into,
of course.
Asman, let me stretch it a little longer. From a layman's perspective, I see this as a pattern of things of what you call crime mutating into insecurity. If you stretch it back to the school fires, the market fires, then you come to Teyimbwa, then you come to these murders of the sheikhs, of the Muslim clerics, then you come to the murders of mobile money agents, and then you come to these other killings like the one that took Joan Kagezi the other day.
Yeah, we go back to...
There are people out there with theories that think this is a systematic pattern.
Systematic pattern, but we are still going back to Chris, the state. Well, the state must prevent crime, fight it, prosecute the people involved in the crime. But you see, the state must maintain that integrity. Any action that undermines it, whether it is innocent, whether it is just grabbing your money from your home or wallet, the state is responsible to look into that matter.
So
But
where
the
is coming from?
The foundation security I had talked about, then Chris, give me just 1 second. The foundation security I was talking about, that the citizen must feel the obligation to cooperate with security agencies to provide information either before the act or after the act. It answers your question. Why do criminals commit crimes and disappear?
And look, and there I have an answer, or sort of one of the answers. I think with all due respect to the strengths of the Ugandan state and a lot of things being done, national IDs, I still see that there isn't enough ability of government to understand the citizenry of Uganda. This country remains extremely informal in terms of who is in this city, who is in this village. The government has really left it. Since the advent of the LCs, the disappearance of the old chief who was demonized as a colonial agent or whatever. I mean, today there is a lot of inability of government to understand what the individual is doing. From the social point of view, the individual is not minding about their family. That's why occasionally have these incidents of a child has been starved for a month in the house, has been, I think the government needs to utilize maybe this ID registration and other means to really understand who is in this country.
Before Chris comes
Who is in this country? We have a lot of electronic gadgets that have come into place. Let the country be mapped clearly to understand the citizens.
Is the state, is the political apparatus interested in that? Because it pays political dividends. The thing you're saying, by the government or the state leaving people to their own devices, is that the correct word?
Vices.
To their own vices, rather. Leaving them to their own vices. People believe there is security. Nobody touches you.
There is freedom.
There is freedom. And that freedom pays political dividends. So are we paying the price that deliberately you allow this state of laxity so that you reap the political
Because
benefit?
I always joke that if you're a foreigner and you get into Kampala, you manage to get through the airport or through the border, and you manage to rent a good house, you can actually live in this country, no work permit, perhaps your visa's expired for years. Nobody will knock at your gate to say, who are you?
That's the foundation security I was talking
Chris
about.
has been itching to come in. Please, Chris, come in before this gentleman come back.
You see, I'm happy now that we have come to understand the state. And now what is bringing a divergence is the trust and confidence in the state. The other arguments built around, do people have trust and confidence in the state as it is now? Which I'm saying that's why the discussion becomes very difficult. And terrorism is not a preserve of Al-Shabaab. It's not a preserve of Al-Qaeda.
Or ADF.
Terrorism now, even the state practices terrorism. That's where the problem comes. And still in the modern states, they are practicing terror for political goals. And this is not without background. You all know there was a reign of terror in France, perpetrated by the state against citizens. Now, in Uganda's case, the skepticism about the state is arising not because people don't see the value of the state. They see palace terror on the citizens. So when you see terror from the palace, terror from the leader,
can you substantiate?
against, I will do that. There is a lot, I don't even need to give evidence. The evidence is out there, you know, window market, everywhere.
How?
You find evidence of terror. You saw basically what happened to him. He was almost running blind. That was state terror on the citizens.
He was terrorizing the state.
For political goals.
He was terrorizing the state. He was terrorizing the state.
Hold on. So,
He was terrorizing the state.
Ugandans are getting lost in the debate about the state is useless. No, it is the way we have constructed our state which is a problem. It is not the state per se. So we should be focusing on how do we construct a state that is responsive to our needs as citizens. The trouble is we must first of all remove terror, state orchestrated terror against the citizen. Right. And then the citizen can then be mobilized to respect statehood, which we don't have in this country.
Chris, I don't want Honor's point to get lost in our arguments. Honor Peter said that we should be able to map our country, or like particularly Kampala city, that people should know that this is the area they live in, and Chris is a new person here, and so on and so forth. Now, I had a meeting with the executive director of KCCA, and when she was doing these things, all of us, and I said, no, you see, the biggest contribution you'd make to KCCA would be to resurrect the local councils. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that the election of local councils is a subject of court, but for you as KCCA, you are an authority. You can dodge that and have, you can call them agents. So we should look for mitigation. We should look, as Honorable Peter said, we should look for solutions. Mm-hmm. Now, one solution he suggested was that can we have the state reaching that level of LC?
Do you remember, Charles?
I thought he has a better solution.
Charles.
Of make guns available to everyone.
That is what I said, that his point might get lost.
No.
Do you remember?
Tomorrow, say, let everybody make their own gun.
There are 2 points I want to bring out. One is the question, the other I'll respond to him. Do you remember the response the state got when it was proposed to register SIM cards?
Oh, yes.
That's part of mapping he's talking about. So that if there is a communication from point A to point B, it's not known by the state necessarily, it's known by the registrator authority.
That is still the state.
And today, as we speak, if your phone is stolen, it is possible to trace it.
Kano Klaije, the debate that Chris was touching about it, what he called state terrorism.
Is what I'm going to respond to.
You are the political commissar.
Yes.
You are the political commissar of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. So you can discuss politics, and I know your competence to discuss politics.
I will discuss
The question is that at the altar of political dividends, citizen security, service to the citizen has been sacrificed.
No.
And when people see schemes like registration of SIM cards, when people see schemes like even the national ID, they think the intention is not a genuine desire by the political leaders to provide better for the citizenry, but rather to assert control over them, apply what you call state terrorism selectively, apply selective efficiency.
No.
Which at the end of the day undermines everybody's else security.
First and foremost, what did some citizens do?
What did they do?
You have some citizens assuring you of a tsunami to sweep the state.
And what's wrong with that?
Everything is wrong.
The government, not the state.
Nobody. I have not heard anybody
government
talk about sweeping down the state. The regime and the government are different from the state and the nation.
No.
Yes, they are.
If they are, then your conceptualization of the state is different from what I'm telling you. The state...
You wear military lenses, so maybe...
The state heads the government.
No, it's the government which runs the state.
What are you talking about? The government is everybody.
No.
Yes, it's still. We run the government.
It's everybody.
It's everybody.
The fact that I vote.
Yes.
You know, I think I need to explain this thing. The state is a conceptual existent or virtual reality that constitutes everything that exists in that country. Now we elect people to go and run that machinery. Now, the government, that is the administration. That's why in other countries they call it the administration, the Bush administration, to administer, to manage, to run the apparatus. Museveni goes out,
the apparatus of the
comes
state.
in,
To run the apparatus of the state.
Yes. Now the apparatus of the state are known.
You are one of our apparatus.
Are known.
And I don't remember ever hearing somebody saying we run down the state. They have said clean out this apparatus. Like the Liberal Democrats in the UK are saying send these guys out. No, Labour is saying send these guys out. We got the Liberal Democrats.
But you see, Charles, I've openly said here I am a statist, and I will say it 1,000,000 times. And I will debate with Napito until we die. We come to the same place. He will eventually accept the state.
And one of you will bury the other.
Yes.
I will win.
So you want to win. Even this. When you talk about democratizing a gun, you are oblivious of the fact that in this state called Uganda, they are the blind. Of what uses a gun to them? If it's not the state holding it, they are the children who are going to school. You want them in the class with guns in their bags? What are you advocating for?
I want the teacher with
What
a
are
gun.
you doing? See, a gun is a monopoly of the state.
Should be the
Monopoly of the state.
What-
Any argument to the contrary
But no,
is
but the
meaningless.
problem
What
is,
is over there in Uganda?
in this country, after so many government changes and other factors, there are so many guns in the hands of wrong
That is
people.
hold
So
on,
you are allowing
hold-
us to be at the mercy of wrong people,
Onapito.
and you don't want us to protect
Onapito.
ourselves.
No, the solution is not-
Hold on. The solution is not to democratize guns. The solution is to have a strong government that can subdue guns in the private hands.
No.
We
That's
have
an
a
ideal.
government that has failed.
That's an ideal.
No,
The state
the solution
interferes.
lies in 2 points. Solution number 1.
This our apparatus being abused and the intelligence.
Listen, the solution lies in two areas. Area number 1, democratize knowledge of the gun. Not the gun, knowledge of the gun. That's what we first did.
Chakam Chaka was supposed to do that.
That was the purpose of Chakam Chaka, which was sacrificed in the parliament here.
And you've been taking people, you've been picking, you've reintroduced.
Of one knowledge,
Chakam
of
Chaka.
what good is the knowledge without
No,
application?
you've been reintroducing
They are the ones producing this illegal gun.
No, I'll give you.
Yes. You've reintroduced Chakam Chaka, been taking students from all over the university, actually lying to them and telling them they are going for some kind of workshop to go and train them.
Lying them? No.
Yes.
No.
I have seen posters
No.
that are
To
inviting
the best
them
of
for
my
something
knowledge,
else.
I'll give you an example.
This
No.
crime preventers, the crime preventers project
Yes.
is doing exactly that.
You think
And
they are
there
lying to them?
And there are people
But
who
you have had neighborhood watch elsewhere.
neighborhood watch elsewhere, and
Yes.
people are being shot center, left, and
But
right,
you see,
and we can't stress
when
the
I
people are
was
killing
talking
them.
about
Yes.
foundation security, it meant conscientization of the citizen. So that the citizen is aware that the first priority, the first duty of a citizen is his security and the security of his country or her country. Are you getting me? Such that where the police can't reach, the citizen is. And in the event of any threat or suspicious happenings, this citizen brings information. Now, it's when the state fails to respond, then that state loses its legitimacy. But if there is a disconnect between the citizen doing the responsibility and the agents of the state in security systems not doing their work efficiently, then you are bound to have this kind of things happening.
So do you think
State agents becoming political
is that where
agents.
we are?
That's the problem.
Is that the state in which we are?
Not yet.
That there is a disconnect there, and you're having these kinds of things. These are your words.
The disconnect I'm seeing, it started with the collapse of the LOC system that you're talking about. Because elsewhere, once the community has its own leadership, it knew who had come where. I remember when LOCs, there were RCs then. You appeared. In fact, I was in Kamuri towards Lake Choga one time, 4 years ago. And the chairman told me, if I see a soldier around here, I always call him first, show me your movement order. You see that? This is in Chidera. You don't know where Chidera is?
I know Chidera.
A chairman told me, when he sees a soldier around, he summons him. Do you have a movement order? That's the democratization I was talking about.
But
That you have empowered the citizen.
Kano Klaije,
Yes.
respond to the specifics. You've had Ugandans being shot and being killed. In many cases, there hasn't been successful prosecution of the criminals behind these murders.
I think those are two different areas.
Yes.
Now you have moved into the justice system.
There is need for accountability from the administrators of the state of Uganda to say, if someone dies, we can assure you that when you get out of here, you have a guarantee that you'll reach home safely.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
answer
We
that.
still have guarantee.
And that doesn't
Let
seem
me
to be-
answer the
No, we
problem.
still have that guarantee.
Charles, in the US, there are gun shootings. They are murder through the gun.
Every day.
Every day in the US. Only that maybe we don't get much more as we can. In Uganda, we see those murders. The problem, the difference in this is exactly what you're saying, the response of the state to that. But we must appreciate our situation is a bit convoluted. Because already we have unresolved social and governance issues in our country. And now this terror just feeds on that. We have not strengthened our governance, and now power has been dissolved. In fact, everybody is powerful in Uganda. The language you hear today is, do you know me? How do I need to know you?
Sure.
I'm a citizen, yeah.
I'm interested in hearing this
Every
place.
ordinary person now will tell, do you know who I am? Even
I-
a boda man
No.
will tell you,
No, Chris.
Kuraije, the information you don't have, don't dismiss it. We interact in a society called Uganda.
And Kano, you should speak to
What-
those policemen on
what-
the streets.
exactly. They tell you.
Especially traffic, they get
They will
told
tell
those
you,
things every
a
day.
traffic officer waves down somebody, the first thing, do you know me? I'm rushing on duty.
Or the security, or those security
Some
guards.
even put the soldiers put their uniform on the back seat and violate anything. See, that's undermining the state. It comes from the policemen can drive the way they want.
Charles.
So when you have that element of behavior, it is difficult to know when the state is fake and when it is not. And when it comes to shootings, Joan, the easiest explanation on Joan's death is that it is terrorism. Because one, it helps the state explain away other inadequacies. It may be terrorism, it may be not. But where should we begin analyzing these issues? It is easier to kill Kuraije over a grudge of a woman and say it is FDC that killed him. And people will believe that. Nobody will begin to look at where was Kuraije, whose woman was he sleeping with. You get it? They will say that is basically who has killed him. That's the easiest.
Fortunately,
Okay?
I will not be
When,
following that.
when we see people, when we see there are issues of relations in Uganda at the workplace level,
Yes.
and now Uganda is a country of deals. You may do not know what deal Onapito is involved in. And because of the failure to execute the deal well, sometimes Onapito says, I will give Obore 20%.
Failure to share properly.
Yes, when the deal goes wrong, Onapito says, Obore, you take 2%.
And Obore says
There
they
are
take 2%.
killings of that nature in this country. But if Onapito is a corporate affairs director, they say, he was gunned down because he was transforming SAB Miller. Get it? But we are unable to know that this desire to live better life in Uganda today has forced many people to live better life, albeit dubiously.
Okay, can we pick it up after a short commercial break? Right where you started it there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to this last segment of the Fourth Estate, and we're discussing the wave of insecurity in Kampala, in the country, and in the region. We started with a discussion of the attack on the Moi University College in Garissa. It's not the main Moi University, it's a college, a constituent college in Garissa of Moi University, where 148 people were killed, majority of them students. And also discussing the wave of killings in Uganda, where people have been killed by people riding on borders with guns, and we don't know where the guns come from. Chris, when we're taking the break, Chris raised a very critical issue. We have seen so many examples where a murder is concluded at the scene. Police comes and concludes this was terrorism. Fortunately, they haven't done that in the case of the killing of Joan Kagezi. They haven't done that yet.
Haven't
Leaving
they?
options.
No, they haven't.
They linked it. There was a lot of attempts to link it, which is the question I want to ask Chris. There's been criticism about the way, and maybe Anna Peter will help on this, and Osman, the way the media reports. The media these days is keener to accept the official version instead of questioning the official version. The things you are raising.
You see, it is critical now that when the state collapses, all other institutions collapse. You can never find a good media where the state is weak. That you must accept. Because the state pretends on anything, including professional growth.
As the state collapsed in
Yes.
Uganda.
So when you see the media weak, the state is weak. Because then the media must have had, you know, there's a lot to do with the professionalizing, training, opportunities, research training and everything. But it's not there. So what kind of media do you have?
So the state is responsible for raising minds.
Hold on. It is responsible. If you didn't know,
I'll explain to
it
you
is
how it is.
responsible. And I'll explain to you. So when you see that happening, you know there's a problem with those running the state, not the state. So what do we need?
Finish the bit of the media with
No, what I want to tell you, the problem here is, apart from being the media, part of the media's weakness is orchestrated by the state. One, there's interagency rivalry in this country. Security agents. The UPDF in discordance with the police in discordance with the CMI in discordance with the ISO with the PIN, and all that struggle. Everybody wants to be seen doing the work. Some are starved of facilitation. You know, security is a very expensive venture. Some are starved of facilitation. They look at those with the money as the favored. Then another group, things were not hard. Then you find within the insecurity we are experiencing, actually the greatest perpetrators are state agents.
But
Many a time you find the gun that was used was traced to an army barracks. We did a story at the Monitor, the bullets were called genius in Makinde. And you could, at 20,000, you get a bullet. We went and bought these bullets with the help of the state. So if that is how porous the state agents are, what did you expect when you democratize a gun, like Anapito says? Okay. What do you expect when the modus operandi is, do you know who I am? What do you expect?
I want Felix to respond to those questions, but before you respond, let me first come back to the aspect of the media. Ona, during your time at the Monitor, at the Crusader, and elsewhere, you had an investigations unit that would question almost everything that government said was the official version. You don't seem to see that in the reporting today. So if Inspector General Police Kale Kaihura says, this is the cause of death, we go with that. Then we run a second story, Fred Enanga has said. Fred Enanga is a spokesperson. Then another day we'll run a story, a spokesperson of the defense and UPDF spokesperson has said. That seems to be is that actually helping perpetrate crime because there is no independent voice that is questioning?
Well, the media are mere recorders of events.
I believe
what do you say?
There has been a fundamental change. So, someone promised a fundamental change. I think we are living. Look, I think certainly the Ugandan media has got caught up with the times in terms of the politics. I think there has been a lot of effort by the state, let's talk about by the government, by corporates, to try and really develop good methods of getting the media to play along. And I think
to do the bidding.
Yeah, so really, and maybe there isn't a lot of initiative to challenge officialdom. And she said, so much of the reporting is really based on what people in authority have said. But also, I think there is an element of the approach of the actors, let's say in security, the rush to make comments and what. So you don't have like, well, you say, let's sensitize this issue and then issue a statement. Everyone wants to say something on impulse of the moment. Maybe there again, you can't blame the media for catching and quoting. So it's a 24-hour news cycle, the internet, social media. So it's all a new game now. Maybe to blame the media may not be entirely
to blame the media, Chris, is, at the moment I used to sit next to one another. And when there was that siege, after we ran the story of a general, David Sejusa, and the state came and laid a siege at the Monitor, they came and picked out a document from my drawer that was written and stamped strictly confidential, but it was a document emerging from some middle-level government official, and they were asking me, where did you get this from? I said,
People should not just scatter around. I know you need the media to cover your events, and therefore you must be nice to them. I am in the media. There is something called professional power in influencing public affairs. What Charles is asking exactly, the media has failed to use professional power. And professional power is built over time. The reputation you have in the public to believe what you're saying.
Could it be an improvement in relations?
But you
an improvement in relations.
The security angle is that it is an improvement.
That guy is destroying the media.
but no. Honor saying that there is lack of initiative. I think that for me that is the point. I have my experience with the Monitor. I think.
And I don't want us to discuss an individual media organization.
Yes, of course. I remember.
But of course, the Monitor is the most influential. Discuss the Monitor.
There was a story.
The most influential.
There was a story that Juma Oris has been killed, and it was reported by the competition. I remember the effort.
You can name names. Don't worry.
The effort Monitor put in to send someone to northern Uganda. Happens. The people who had been involved in fighting
Western Nile Front.
Yes, I had been close to them or just in the neighborhood, one way or the other. So that effort, so I knew what had happened. But look at the effort. I remember the Monitor sent me to Congo in 2000, and I had issues. I was arrested there, in prison, things like that. So it's that effort that is missing now. Now, the case of the death of Kagezi is quite different. What Onapito was saying that speaking to the initial comments that the state is putting out, can we challenge if you say it is terrorism? How? But there could be these other issues. On social media, there were these arguments that the police had said the cartridges that were found at Kagezi's murder scene were the same as those in Mayuge. And fortunately, my colleagues in the media didn't know the difference between a cartridge and a gun. So they were saying, but these people told us. Unfortunately,
the other gun was found.
So, because in Mayuge, the police said they had the gun. And now here they say they had the cartridge. And then now, these people, how could that gun come here, which they had? So you see, so another challenge is the relationship between the security agencies and the media. The last time I made a call to Felix Kulaije was to organize something, the army and the media. The way they report about security is very weak. They don't know the difference between the commander.
The language is, they are embedded.
My brother, no, they have improved it. I will come to that.
They don't know the difference between a commandant, a commander, a commanding officer, how you address a general, the general commanding officer.
No, I've seen a couple of being called a senior officer.
Everyone is a senior officer.
The most ridiculous one is to find news in English talking of Afande.
So for me, it's a challenge it's a challenge to Felix Kulaije.
Asuman,
Please.
No. Before you go to him, Asuman,
a challenge to us in the proper state.
Yes, Asuman, you were able to challenge. In order to challenge something, you should be informed. You should challenge from a point of understanding. That's why you are proud of what you used to do, your exploits, because you're able to tell. Now, if people don't have the understanding and you expect them to challenge, it's going to be a challenge. And this is why the context again. We have spoken here about the concept state capture. People are at pains to understand what it means. When a state is captured, individuals become institutions. And then the institutions are individualized. You get the point? So you will not find KCCA speaking. KCCA becomes Musisi. CMI becomes Bakahumura. You get it? UPDF becomes who's the commander? Katumba Wamala. Not the other way around. So that institutionalization of individuals has come to the lower level, where now it is possible for you to be killed because the person killing you has more power than the institutions. And in many cases of these murders in Uganda, take it or leave it, those who murder using the gun, if they are not dissidents like ADF as they talk, like what, they are individuals who have higher connections to the state operatives.
No.
And the state operatives give cover to those who murder. And that's why we should be taking a discussion. So if the state cannot, first of all, monopolize weaponry, if the state cannot monopolize violence and coercion against those who unleash violence to common good, then that government should be challenged. And that's what I'm saying. This is our state agent. But sometimes he behaves like a political agent. I am saying I need courage, the state agent, not a political agent.
Just a moment. Felix has been quiet for a long time. The question is, the IGP flies into Mayuge or runs to Mayuge and says ADF is responsible. And that's the story. And then after a few days, we're told, no, it's Chienji. Chienji is working with ADF. This mode of investigation and sharing information with the public is what he was talking about. You arrive in Chiwatule the other day and you make a pronouncement. And people asking, people with basic intelligence, basic understanding, asking, how quickly did you reach this conclusion? How much other evidence are you closing out by arriving at a conclusion? The same thing we started with. If the commander-in-chief of the Kenya Armed Forces, Uhuru Kenyatta, says these travel advisories, everybody else appears to fall in line and say, we are safe, actually. The president has said, we are safe. And everybody removes the hands off, removes their eyes and reduces their watch. Isn't that the state in which we are?
First of all, I will not discuss what the IGP said or the way he acted. It will be unprofessional of me. I will not. Whether he was right or wrong, I am not free to discuss my experience. So then I will finish it that way. But I want this to deal with the issues as they are. And back to what I said. To begin with, something Chris was talking about, you know who I am. That notion must be killed now. That's yesterday.
But it hasn't died.
No. You see, again, back to the
It's actually growing.
If you find me at a checkpoint and you say, can I check your car? The moment you say, do you know who I am? I will say, yes, I know you're a human being. I want to check your car. Because I've gone through this before myself. The point I'm making, nobody is above the law.
But some people behave as if they're above.
Exactly, but you see, in my language they say, the way you hold a child, the way this child will sus on you. As man knows that saying. If you hold the child here, it will be your trouser which will get wet. If you hold the child here, it will be the whole of you. Similarly, if individuals are going to be allowed to exert criminality or insolence because you don't know who he is, you don't need to know who the fellow is. The primary thing, you are a human being. So as a human being, you deserve respect, irrespective of who you are, where you come from, your color, your gender. Number two, as a human being, you must respect law and order. So if this is the checkpoint, I want to check you. Check. Ask all these fellows wherever I pass. Say, can I check you, sir? I lower my windows. I remove the lock. My car has been actually studied with the methodology
of checking.
Bombs are not planted inside cars. There are particular areas where the bombs are planted. If a car is laden with bombs, besides checking the inside, there are areas you must check if you are looking for explosives. And if anybody cares about the job they are doing, they need to teach them those areas. If they don't know, I can offer at a fee.
Were you checked when you were coming here?
How can he survive checking?
No,
He's telling you he checked.
I lowered my windows. I said yes.
And they saw you.
They saw me.
And you walked out and walked through the metal detector.
No, I don't have Listen,
Suppose you are not converted to Al Qaeda now.
Listen, first of all, the point I'm making, the person at the gate, when he recognizes me and salutes, I respond to salute. If he does not know me, I will not demand. The point I'm making, I will not demand that do you know who I am. And I want to state here on air, Ugandans out there, if anybody asks who you are, who he is, whether you know what he is, you don't need to know. The bottom line, follow the law.
Say it in Uganda, sagala kumanya.
You don't need to know who he is.
Just go ahead.
Yesterday I was at Monitor. All right? It's the guard who was telling me what to do, and I obeyed.
But let me
So the point I'm making, please let us accept this to begin with. And I remember I said, individual consciousness is very critical in security. To believe in yourself, that as a citizen, I must know whom I'm dealing with. First and foremost.
let me ask a very basic question.
The other day I went around my neighborhood because there are high walls, and I need to know who is the neighbor next to me. Not after surviving my own neighbor who was going to kill me, Idrissa Nsobuga, in 2010. The one who detonated that bomb, he had been my neighbor.
And he was trailing you anyway.
And he was trailing me.
But you see...
So you had been deployed in your neighborhood?
Yes.
You see, Charles,
No, but
Felix has a very serious...
Chris, just a quick question to Felix. I always fight or feel uncomfortable when you're driving into a place and you see a car with a diplomatic number plate. Security waves it through without checking it.
It's wrong.
And then you come behind and they want to check you.
It's wrong.
Thoroughly. And I'm asking, one, in Somalia we have seen experiences where vehicles stolen from the UN
were used
have been used
as weapons.
As weapons.
Yes.
Or where vehicles have been branded as UN and have been used as weapons.
Yes.
Why do you subject? Why is there this acceptance of a double standard? If it's a red number plate car, it's a government car. They let it.
Can I answer you?
If it's a police car, yes.
It's a individual weakness.
Is it?
It's not a policy. Yes, it's not a policy.
I find it everywhere.
It's
I don't know why
individual
I've seen
weakness.
it.
You see, Charles,
Yes, Chris,
some of these things, we have to put it clear. I agree with Felix. This notion of who do you know me? I normally tell him, do you also know my mother?
Yes.
My mother is a villager, do you know her? Whether you are son of who, I don't care. The point is, Charles, in Kampala, we need to hold the state accountable. Even just guarding, there is more security in private installations, private business interests, than community security interests. Even among private business interests, you find those with extra security when others are left without. In other words, the state is present to guard particular business interests, leaving others exposed. Move around the shopping malls in this town. Move around hotels in this town. Not all of them have the similar security presence.
I thought that's
hold on, I'm telling you. No, it can't be. It can't be. How can particular business interests have the higher, and the ownership of those interests are also higher in the state?
No.
You get the point?
No,
so that is one problem. I'm telling you, there are some places with the SFC, with the police, with the anything, guarding, and the others left open. The concept of security is to guard the citizens. If all of business attract citizens, then the security must be the same everywhere. Then the other thing, Charles, is...
That's the ideal.
Charles, the other thing is, many times, when we talk about, I've heard when this thing came, Kaihura is here, Kaihura is there, Kaihura is there, and there are those pro him, against him. I have studied, like I have studied the Museveni. All our problems from Museveni. Hold on, listen. Let me tell you, they mentioned Kaihura here. Why didn't you say don't mention?
No, you said, I said
so
Kaihura.
Don't comment. Let me comment on Museveni.
No,
like you didn't comment on your boss.
Yes.
The trouble you're facing even in institutions is President Museveni dreams, lives, wants sustaining power at any cost. He is a leader who can think, who can do this, but when it comes to his survival, this gentleman is like a squirrel. He doesn't want anything else. The other thing, hold on, Ekunyuk. The other thing is, let me tell you, Charles, when it comes to Kaihura, let me tell you, Uganda is blessed. The level of energy that man puts on his work,
yes,
the level of commitment that man puts to police. If Kaihura was not there, maybe we'd be having a different dimension altogether. His only weakness I've had is, in a home, you are all children. But it's the child who wants every time dad is coming, his uncle coming, picks the sweet is the one here. Other children are saying, what's wrong with you? Allow us time also to hug a daddy. And that's why you see problems coming to Kaihura. It is not coming from his performance. You can't fault him on performance. The issues coming with him is
he
thinks, hold on, he thinks, now people will think, where is the issue? There's no money. See a man, this man here. You know children at home, they can develop sibling rivalry. And that is the problem.
Charles, in the interest of time, for me, while Obore is having his ideal of the state and lavishing the state, which I know is doing a good job, I'm saying, in a neighborhood, its time has come for citizens, even if it means paying money, to have a policeman deployed. They should do it.
But
I'm saying,
where will the people get money?
Why should the policeman be paid to
But
be
I'm saying you're having an ideal of a policeman in every neighborhood, and you are not having it.
Where
in
will
the
people
neighborhood.
get in the police?
The question I've seen.
Because I don't want this idea
the
of
challenge-
subjecting people's life to the ideal of saying the state should do it
But
and the
if
state
it's
should
a
do
reality
it.
now, they are people who can't eat food. Where will they hire a policeman?
What baffles
Where
me
will they
is
get a
find
policeman on
these
Apito?
Police posts or police units almost in every neighborhood.
Yes.
But insecurity is still rife.
So it comes back the question of the consciousness
So where is the problem?
of the
That
individual.
is it.
Would you know where's the problem?
No, but I wanted to respond to something that the weaknesses in the media are one thing and the administrative functions of the police or the state are another. The way the police has responded to these things is quite, or actually the whole entire state has responded. You hear there was a statement from the police, there was a statement from Minister of Information, there was a statement from, these things could have been coordinated and make one statement, thorough, without even keeping the public updated on the investigations. When you go to the public, you must have solid information. The things of it was terrorism before you even investigate is wrong. So much as Chris says Kaihura has done a good job, he lacks communication to the public, the way he communicates.
Okay.
I mean, I just told you that.
He needs high over
Running up
to
this
do what?
Colonel Kulaji, where are the fault lines in streamlining information flow within security agencies? Because surely, I know that there are Ugandans whose brief, like maybe CMI, is to know if a gun goes off at some corner, they will know and they will try to understand what the cause was, no matter which part of the country that happens in. But the information is available. The coordination of this information, the utilization of this information seems to be a major problem, and Ugandans can't be sure that they will be safe.
Charles, what I don't like is adding another chapter on the Book of Lamentations. I would rather, since
seem to be in that.
since we are winding up,
But the book is there.
I would rather propose way forward
Give us.
rather than adding a chapter on Lamentations. To deal with insecurity, there must be vigilance on the part of the population, but there must be commitment on the part of security agencies. There must be coordination and cooperation on the part of the security agencies. 4, once you have information received, you correlate this information, synthesize it, digest it, and release out either a warning or a statement of what has over a statement of fact after the act, when actually you know what you're talking about,
Arrest.
or after an arrest. 5, if the arrest has been made, what I know is that which our government has been guilty of, and I've said it before, people will be quick to say negative things within even their own establishment, and very slow to pronounce themselves on achievements registered. And that's why we always have more knowledge of negatives than the positives this country has, the government in this country has done. So I would rather argue that, again, coordination at intelligence collection, coordination at sharing, coordination at acting, coordination at information release to the general public. The purpose of the media center is that, to coordinate us so that we give out information that is uniform, that is coordinated. 5, and lastly, he was talking about rivalries. I'm not aware of them yet. The best of my knowledge, you know. The best of my knowledge. The best of my knowledge, you know, we have a joint intelligence committee. We have a national intelligence security committee and national security council. The joint intelligence committee is for intelligence chiefs, and then the national security committee, which is chaired by the Minister of Internal Affairs, has all these security heads as members, and then National Security Council chaired by the President, but he can delegate the Minister of Internal Affairs to represent him. Now, all these mechanisms are intended to ensure coordination and cooperation. The rivalries come in, well, why not?
So when that coordination fails,
can come in.
who should be asked the questions?
The
That we have seen them.
the persons concerned are very known. If it is a question of crimes committed, it's the police to answer. And that's why we take career as non-police operatives to allow the police to do its work. But that does not remove what we expect them to do or what is expected of us as security agencies. And the element of commitment I talked about, you see, excuse me, you are blaming the media on just reporting what they have had.
No, we're blaming ourselves.
Yes.
We want to
yes.
take responsibility.
I do. And I'm coming back to make a comparison and say that failure of commitment on individual journalists happens elsewhere as well. So when I'm talking about the level of consciousness, I'm not giving myself a job, but that's basically what I'm doing in UPDF. Raising people's consciousness so that you accept I have a responsibility, and when you don't do it, please own up.
Our time is out. We need to get out of
But as long as, Kuraije, the security organs, although you are part of the wider political group,
you are not the moderator.
for as long as I'm a co-person in this panel, we invite you, Kuraije. For as long as you are allowed to be used in the political chess game as security operators, attention to the needs of the ordinary citizen by you, whom they pay, will be diminished.
Thank you.
So for as long as you
Police
continue,
as long as you continue,
why would you use deploy soldiers to NADS when there are shootings in the country? Where are they
You're paying a new discussion.
Charles,
Say one last word.
For me, what I want to know is, after all the warnings following the Garissa bombing, what will be put in place in a typical Ugandan secondary school to make sure that something like this does not befall it? It has happened in Nigeria, it has happened in Garissa. We cannot just say, police is alert. What is going to be done to change the reality that can happen in the secondary school?
On the 25th of March, the American Embassy issued a travel advisory to American citizens. The police in Uganda dismissed the advisory and said, we are in charge. We have seen the advisory, we are in charge. Everything
like
is
Uhuru Kenyatta did.
Like Uhuru Kenyatta did. We'll discuss that on another occasion. I am conscious that you gentlemen took time out of your Easter festivities to make time for the show. So I thank you very much. And I thank all our viewers.
We expect an Easter meal here.
Just water. At this hour of the night, it's difficult.
The corporate world does not give a free lunch.
This will not be free.
Thank you very much.
This will not be free dinner.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Osman Bisika. Thank you very much, Honorable Comrade. Thank you very much to you all.
No free dinner from the corporate world.
Of course, we will be hopefully having a discussion. The update of the voters register starts on Tuesday.
Yes.
So we will be watching and asking questions about that exercise, but also encouraging Ugandans to go out and ensure that they are.
In NADS, we are doing economic security.
Our time is out.
When people are being shot.
We are not police.